Morning, soapy friends. I hope some of you are going to make soap alongside me. If not, might be interested to see my methods that I use for making soap. I'm going to make soap in the little individual rose moulds this morning because that seems a bit more simple to start with. Just the one colour with the alkanet root and the lavender and rose geranium essential oils. You will notice with the rose geranium essential oil, it thickens the soap very quickly. It's a race to get it into the moulds. So if you decide to do this for the first time, you might just want to stick to a bit of lavender or even a different essential oil, whichever one you really think that you like the most, or just leave it out completely. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Morning, so that is the 200 grams of coconut oil and 175 grams of shea butter in my big soap making tub. I'm just about to weigh the liquid oils, so this goes swimmingly, as you'll see in a minute. I attempt to tear the scale back to zero and I start fiddling about with grams, mils, ounces and all that sort of thing, so that takes me a little while. Eventually I get it right. You'd think I'd never done this before, wouldn't you? Right, that's my 225 grams of olive oil going in, and I've actually done 200 grams of olive oil because then I'm going to do 25 grams of the oil with the alkanet root in it to take it up to 225, and that should give a nice lavender, pale lavender colour, but we shall see. There's many variables. I haven't used alkanet root in an infusion before, and the hemp seed oil always does lovely funny things to the colour of my soap. So this is me starting again because I couldn't get the lid off the hemp seed oil. So 225 grams of combined olive oil and olive oil with an alkanet infusion going into my scale now, followed by 100 grams of hemp seed oil, as you'll see, being poured out of a hole that I've had to cut in the container because I couldn't get the lid off. It was jammed solid. I'll decant that into another container later. And then after that it's 60 grams of castor oil. Now I haven't tared the scale in between each oil because it's a combined weight of 375 grams. So I know what I'm working with that one. So that's the liquid oils weighed and measured. So this is the point at which I'm going to put my gloves on because I'm going to measure the lye and the water. So the water goes in first, and that's 250 grams of distilled water. I'm putting my gloves on. Safety first. I've got my goggles on as well, and I've got an apron on, and I've got closed-in shoes. Obviously make sure you don't have children or pets anywhere near you when you're doing this, and do it in a very well ventilated area. I'm in my soap shed at the top of the garden, and both of the doors are wide open. It's got French doors to let in all the air. So that's 250 grams of distilled water. And then into that I will put 105 grams of lye solution, or lye powder. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, I suggest that you measure your lye into a separate container and then add it to the water. I'm just tearing the scale there back to zero, and I'm going to put in 105 grams of lye, or sodium hydroxide crystals. Now, if you're using sodium hydroxide, it has to be pure for soap making, not 60% or 40% that they sell quite often for cleaning solutions and things like that. It has to be 100% pure sodium hydroxide. So I'm putting that into 105 grams. You always add the powder to the water, never the other way around. But as I say, you should weigh your lye solution, your lye powder, into a separate container. So I'm going to give that's the scales are finished with now because I've already weighed out my essential oils into a little container. Give that a stir. It is letting off quite a lot of fumes at this point, which is why it's important to do it in a well ventilated area. Now, this is where my soap making is a bit different to what you've may seen in the past. I'm pouring my lye solution directly onto my hard butters and oils. This is known as the heat transfer method, and it works brilliantly. You don't have to wait around for the lye to come back down to the right temperature. You don't have to heat the oils up to the same temperature. It's a much quicker process. It's also, I consider, to be quite a lot safer because the lye solution is already now starting to saponify with those hard oils and butters, making it a little bit safer than it was before. It's not going to be completely used up because obviously we've only got half the amount of oils in that pot needed to saponify that amount of lye solution. But it is already starting to saponify. You'll see it's thickening up. So I'm giving it a good stir, and it's a lot easier in the summer using the heat transfer method because the oils are already soft. Some of them are already, the coconut oil's already liquid half the time in these temperatures. So whisking and just contemplating life, the universe and everything else. So I'm showing this in real time. This is the point at which I decide to get my stick blender out to cheat a bit and realise that I haven't switched the electricity onto the soap studio. So there we go, back to the whisk, which is what you'll probably be doing anyway. Plus it makes a horrible noise and stops me in my contemplation. So you can see it's nearly, all the bits are nearly dissolved now in the lye solution. It's still a lovely soap colour at this point. We haven't added the hemp seed oil yet. The first time I used unrefined hemp seed oil, I was a bit panicky because the soap does come out a very nasty green colour. If you use the hemp seed oil that is refined, it doesn't happen. But the unrefined hemp seed oil does turn it a bit green to start with when it's saponifying, but actually once it's cured and dried, it goes back to being a lovely soapy colour. So now I'm adding the liquid oils into that mixture. Now there's no lumps left. Make sure I get every little bit into there, don't want to waste anything. Spatulas are very useful, those silicone spatulas. You definitely need those if you're soap making to get every last little bit into your soap batter. So that's that, and then it's just more whisking. You'll see it going a lovely green colour now, especially because it's a white bowl. So that's the unrefined hemp seed oil making it, turning it into that colour. So a lot of soap makers will whisk until it's quite a thick trace, either with a hand whisk or the stick blender. With this particular essential oil, the rose geranium essential oil, traces very fast, as you'll see. So now I'm putting the essential oils in, which is 15 grams of lavender and 8 grams of rose geranium. And I'm going to pour it at what is known as an emulsion. So everything is now emulsified, it's all mixed together thoroughly, but it's not at a thick trace yet. You'll see that it actually starts to thicken up while I'm pouring it, which is why I have to start pouring when it's looking like this, so that I can actually get it into the mould before it sets hard and generally turns into what soap makers call soap on a stick, because it'll go very hard very quickly and you won't even be able to get it out of the bowl and into the mould. So this is a race against time. You can see it's starting to thicken more and more. So working quickly, quick as I can. Obviously if you're pouring it just into a larger mould, you can pour it very quickly and it's not a problem. But with this particular soap, I do tend to do a pattern as well, which makes it even more difficult. I like to make life hard for myself, just giving them a jiggle to make sure it goes down to the bottom of the little rose moulds so that you get the nice flower effect. So I've got a bit left over, so I've got a spare flower mould which I've used for other soaps in the past, so just pouring those extra bits into there. We never waste any soap. Even if we just use different soaps that we pour for samples and things like that. So this is the point where I decide to add a bit more to all of these. The tops, it doesn't matter that the tops aren't perfect because this soap's starting to set up, because they will be planed using my soap cutter. But obviously if you don't have anything to plane them with, you wouldn't mess about putting extra thick bits on the top like I'm doing. I'm just using it all up, making sure the soaps are nice and full, and as I say, not wasting anything. Lovely green colour, isn't it? Doesn't look attractive at all at this point. Hopefully it'll look absolutely lovely by the time it's finished curing. We'll see a little bit of what the colour's going to be when we unmould it after 24 hours. But it'll take a good few weeks before we can really see what the finished colour is going to be. The alkanet root will develop over time, hopefully, into a nice pale lavender. I'm just messing about with the tops now so I get them as flat as possible. And if you had soap in a mould, a loaf mould at this point, you can be messing about making little waves and little patterns on the top of your loaf, which will show on the top of the eventual bars. And that can be fun as well. With the lavender rose geranium, I normally fork a little pattern into the top, and then I put a little dried rosebud on the top of each soap, so that each bar has a little rosebud on it. But I'll show you that in the next video, which will be along in the next couple of days. So I hope you've enjoyed making this soap, or watching the soap being made. If you decide that you want to make it yourself later on, you can stop and start the video at various times while you do each stage. And the full recipe is on the comments section of my last video. So there we are. That's the soap in the mould. It's not looking a very pretty colour at the moment. Hopefully it will change. See you soon. Just a little caveat, remember the soap batter is still a bit stingy.